Convenience. Everyone likes convenience. Whenever we design anything, a machine, a system, a social complex, we always design with the convenience of the user in mind. If a thing is unnecessarily awkward, complicated, or too time-consuming, experience has taught us that people just won't use it. So designing for the convenience of the user has become a basic part of American know-how. Here are examples of what I'm talking about. A system designed and dedicated to the convenience of the user, the customer, specifically the customer for food, household items, and hundreds of other daily needs. These scenes are typical of what you'd see every day in any one of thousands of convenience stores throughout the country. As a matter of fact, such stores are called convenience stores because that's exactly what they are. Stores created and operated specifically for the convenience of the customer. And they do this so well that we have a natural tendency to take them for granted. But people in the industry don't take their jobs for granted, and the customer benefits. And if you look behind the scene, you'll find out why. Did you know that convenience stores are the fastest growing segment of our nation's leading industry, the food industry? The system works so well that they're located all across this country, and even in many other countries. Their ranks are growing by the thousands each year. Their rapid and continued growth means that they are fulfilling a need, a purpose, and they do it very well. Convenient locations along popular traffic ways and in neighborhoods makes for quick, in and out, convenient shopping for the customer. And he saves. He saves because he doesn't have to drive miles across town in heavy traffic, burning fuel at today's prices, just to pick up one or two items. Plus, he saves time. He isn't confronted with a giant store with an endless confusion of products which take time to sort through. Or, because of the convenient location, you might save even more by having Junior do your shopping for you. You see, he runs on regular, unleaded peanut butter. But maybe you're more familiar with supermarkets. Sure, they have big parking lots and plenty of cars. Of course they have lots of merchandise. He came for lima beans. Try and find them. And they have lots of checkouts, if you have time to wait. Oh yes, the supers serve a need for volume shopping. The supers are so big, it's sometimes pretty tough to get friendly, personal service. And supermarkets are getting larger, so they're fewer and they're farther apart. Quick in and out shopping they don't have. But most of us also have another need, a very great need, for picking up a few items as quickly and conveniently as possible. Now, you say things cost more in a convenience store. Well, that's true, but not much more. And for those few additional pennies, you really save in any of several other ways. Savings in gas with a nearby location. Savings in time, in travel, and shopping. Plus, having salespeople available to help you find things when you're in a hurry. And how many times have you discovered that you need something late at night and been very glad someone was there to help you? Many convenience stores are open 24 hours a day. Yes, what the customer gets for a few cents more is lots of convenience, fast service, and personal attention. And the convenience store employee can be proud of his or her role. They work very hard at it. Every sale is important. Convenience store employees have to make about 10 times as many sales to equal one supermarket sale. Now that's a big job, but it's the employees that make this industry go. And in case you're thinking that because the convenience stores are small, your selection of items will be limited, think again. Actually, they carry about the same items that the supers do. You want pretzels? They have pretzels. You want tartar sauce? They have tartar sauce. Your kids need notebook paper. Convenience stores have notebook paper. You want silver bullets? Well, most of the time you want an item, they've got it. Toys, cleaning supplies, candles, pantyhose, nose drops. The only difference is that they don't have as many different brands. But you can get the same quality and type of item here as in the supermarket. And many convenience stores offer a variety of specialty items. Ices, hot or cold drinks, hot or cold sandwiches, postage stamps, and money order service, gasoline. Really, they come mighty close to one-stop shopping. You know, another big plus that convenience stores offer to the community they serve is opportunity. There's opportunity for new employees, people who really want to work and get ahead. You see, convenience store employees have more responsibility than most. Somewhat run their own show, and when someone shows promise, they have a chance to move up, to progress. And with the industry growing as rapidly as it is, there's a need for thousands of new employees, store managers, supervisory personnel, people at all levels. And this industry is really interested in its people. It wants them to succeed, to advance. Most companies are members of the National Association of Convenience Stores. Through the National Association, industry personnel join together to look at new ideas, study, evaluate them, and develop training programs. Such programs help provide the basic and advanced training necessary for a move up in the business. There are seminars on many subjects and levels, films from the basic to advanced specialties, print materials, booklets. Training is necessary because there's more, much more to a position in a convenience store than in many other occupations. Admittedly, there are some routine tasks like picking up and cleaning. They're just as important as anything else, but there's also bookkeeping, buying, advertising, inventory, community relations, and more. Yes, this industry is interested in its people. And training is available to help the individual grow. Oh, sure, a lot of us take that little store around the corner for granted without realizing the comprehensive and vital scope of its service to us. It is convenient in location and ease of shopping. Its inventory is remarkable. Almost anything we need in food or household items plus. It does offer opportunity to its people. It is a significant segment of one of this nation's leading industries. It is a big plus for any neighborhood. And the thousands and thousands of people engaged in this industry don't take it for granted. They appreciate the challenge, the diversity, the opportunity. They're proud to be a part of the convenience store industry. They make it work.
Convenience stores are essentially neighborhood businesses. Most of the customers live within a couple of miles of the store. 1 of 5 walks to shop, and most will visit their stores several times a week. The store, then, is part of the neighborhood. People regard the store's employee as a member of the community. They know what he looks like. They have an impression of him. It's important that they like him. It's important that they like you. You determine just how much they will like you. If you're friendly and courteous, the people will return every chance they get. If you're not, they may not come back. So everyone says, be courteous, please people, people will like you, you'll like your job, the store will do well, and so will you. You know what? It's true. People are mirrors. They reflect your attitude. Most of your customers will smile back if you smile first. Try it. Well, it usually works. It's not always easy to please. We'd like to help.
Why do I have to make people happy? They're just in here to buy stuff, aren't they?
Sure they are, but they don't have to buy it from you. On a national average, 2/3 of the people who quit shopping a store do so because they feel their business isn't appreciated. The company, by selecting a good location, planning an attractive store and advertising, can get the customer into the store the first time, only the first time. After that, it's all up to you. In a super, there are a large number of employees. If one's discourteous, others may make up for it. The customer might come back. However, if you're the only person your customer meets, no one can make up for your mistakes. Your attitude will win or lose the courtesy game for your store. There's no one else as important as you.
Sounds great, but how do I make someone feel appreciated? I mean, what should I do?
The easiest thing you can do is to offer your customers the fast, friendly service they've come to expect from convenience stores. Remember, your customers are probably in a hurry. If they had time to spend, they could have saved a few pennies by waiting in line at a super. You're able to give them something unique. Easy in, easy out shopping. They like it. They're willing to pay for it. What it takes on your part is the proper attitude and good judgment in the courtesy game.
What do you mean, attitude?
Your attitude is how you feel about your job and your customers. In general, how you feel about people and things. Your attitude is reflected by your personal appearance, your customer greeting, and the appearance of the store. You can make the store smile, too.
If that's all there is to it, I shouldn't have any trouble.
That's the right attitude. Now, here's how to be a winner in the courtesy game. First, greet your customers as they enter the store.
How are you today?
Morning, Mrs. Walker.
Friendly greetings tell the customers you're glad they're there. Then while they're shopping, ask them if they're finding everything.
Are you finding everything?
Is there anything I can help you find, Mrs. Walker?
We've all been lost at times. Don't make your customers wander from aisle to aisle looking for the one item they need. As they check out, will there be anything else? This is the time for suggestive selling of related items.
How about some chip dip?
Going on a picnic? Need any paper plates or plastic forks?
A friendly reminder here might help them remember something they really need. But don't pressure. Use good judgment. Now, count their change.
Here's your change, Mrs. Walker. $1.29, $30, $40, $50, $75, and $2.
This is a courtesy. It indicates you are honest, careful, and you don't want to make a mistake. Smile sincerely. Thank your customers for coming in, and ask them to come back again.
See you soon.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Please hurry back.
This is important. Your customers should leave knowing you appreciate their business. Your courtesy will bring them back again. After all, they're the ones who pay your salary. If you follow these steps, you'll build regular customers who will come back often. It's not that hard, and it's even easier if you know your customers' names. Learn them from checks and identification cards. Everyone likes to hear their own name and call you by yours, if they know it. That's why we wear name tags. Your success and the success of your store depends on regular customers. You are the key. You make the difference. It takes 1,200 customers shopping 2 or 3 times a week just to break even. So you have to be nice to a lot of people to be a success.
But sometimes it's hard to be friendly when customers have complaints.
Customer complaints can be a problem, and they will require your best judgment. The best policy to follow is that the customer is always right. She feels she has a good reason for complaining, and she doesn't feel like arguing. One problem is returned merchandise. The best policy is to thank the customer for bringing it back and offer to replace the item or refund their money. Above all, remember, winning an argument is not worth losing a customer. Another complaint is that your prices are higher than the supers. The best answer is to say, most people think our prices are reasonable for the extra services offered. Such things as later hours, store door parking, and fast service. In other words, convenience.
Okay, but what about those kids? Sometimes I'd like to break their necks.
Well, first of all, school-age kids account for 15 to 25% of the store's volume, and their parents add much more. Besides, not all of them are that bad, especially the little ones. In fact, you can usually come out ahead if you're particularly helpful to them. They'll like the attention, and their parents will appreciate your courtesy. That way, you'll have the child's business and the parents as well.
Okay, but the biggest problem for me is the older ones.
There's no doubt they can be a problem. However, if you treat them firmly but fairly, and with courtesy, most of the problem will be solved. Let them know what's expected of them. You can't ignore the problem, or it will get worse, until a lot of your regular customers have been driven away. And remember, most of the customers you have are from the neighborhood. If you lose them, you lose everything. There are many games you can play, but it pays to win the courtesy game. Be a winner in the courtesy game.
Hi, I'm Lou, short for Tallulah.
I'm Sam. That's Samantha.
The last name is Jones.
After graduation, got job.
Good jobs, but not much salary. We charged over, and then we had problems all over.
What she's trying to say is, we found out fast about retail credit.
Retail credit? Something about charge accounts, you mean?
I was getting to that. Retail credit buying is buying things now and paying later. The trouble started way back at the beginning.
Now, wait a minute. What do you mean by things?
Things. Well, goods and services. As I was saying, the trouble started way back at the beginning. Lou and I got jobs after graduation.
All that money, we thought.
You won't believe how, I think the term is new rich we were. I bought 3 sweaters the first day.
The cardigan was her downfall.
My downfall, you were the swinger. Leave it to Lulu, the loony bird. Nothing left. Had to borrow from Dad.
Dad said,
It's time Tallulah and Samantha learn something about that little card they're throwing around. Hi, I'm Dad. It's good to have the use of credit, but they're well on their way to strangling themselves. Don't you know anything about credit?
Yes, credit is the present use of future income.
yes, credit is a present use of future income.
Credit is part of next month's salary. What if next month's salary doesn't cover what you spent today? You wind up in debt, and you've ruined your credit rating.
You know who that will be.
Not me.
Lulu's no loony bird. Pretty soon, she'll be famous at the Retail Merchants Credit Association. This is a company which helps you to keep your credit rating high. They have records of each person who uses credit. They know how quickly you pay your bills, or if you pay your bills at all. A credit file shows where you've worked and how much your income is. They know where you have credit accounts, how much you owe, and how you pay them. They know if you've ever been in a lawsuit or been bankrupt. In fact, they have a pretty complete credit picture of you.
Uh-oh.
So don't destroy your credit by throwing your money around.
Will you quit making father sounds, Dad?
Father sounds, I'm making money sounds. Money is not just to spend foolishly, it's to manage. A family's total indebtedness shouldn't exceed 20% of its income. Are these your statements?
Yeah, they're statements for my new camera.
Mm-hmm. How did you expect to pay for it?
$20 down and $10 a month. I never pay interest.
I'm going to show you how the store deducts simple interest. Simple interest is interest on the unpaid balance.
What interest?
Simple interest, simpleton.
Simple interest. You bought an $80 camera. Then you had to have the light meter and the case, which brought the bill up to $120. You paid $20, which means that you actually borrowed $100.
What do you mean? I borrowed it.
You were borrowing the time it takes to pay it back. Here is a rate chart which shows the 2% interest deducted every month and the balance applied toward the loan. Let's start over here. The purchase price is $120, and you put $20 down. The following month, you paid a $10 payment, and $2 applied toward the interest, and $8 applied toward the loan. The next month, $10 again, with $1.84 on the interest, and $8.16 on the loan. This is how your $10 is split up every month. She's paying about 2% per month on the unpaid balance, or 24% per year. Now that's about $12.71 more for that camera by charging.
But I wanted the camera now, Dad.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with it now. Just know what you're doing.
The whole economy is built on credit. We need credit to keep money moving.
I'm moving the money. I spent $300 on clothes in the first 3 months.
I'm glad you said I. This I didn't.
How did you plan to pay that off, the $300?
I didn't plan. They just let me keep charging. Isn't that cool? I just kept buying and buying. Nobody stopped me. I just flashed the card.
Well, that flashing card is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. What spurred you on to such delusions of wealth?
They did. I figured if they didn't care, why should I?
But they're not your keepers. And officially, I'm not either. They won't clamp down on you until you're delinquent. And then, watch out.
I thought I had a revolving charge account.
What does revolving mean?
It revolves and revolves. You pay and pay.
What if you can't pay?
I guess it stops revolving.
Let's stop you revolving right now. This shows amounts of interest rates you are charged with over a year's time. It's called True annual interest.
True annual interest.
If they tell you it's 3% per month, that should be multiplied by 12, by the number of months in the year, so the true annual interest rate is 36%. That's $36 out of every 100.
Really, Dad?
I've added the monthly statements, and here's the total for the year. You spent $300 on clothes. At 1.5% per month, not per year now, but per month, you've actually paid 18% in true annual interest. $54. Think what more you could have bought with that money.
A camera.
A coat,
A record player.
a Siamese cat.
A government savings bond.
A government savings bond would pay you interest. There are two kinds of interest, you know. Interest you pay others, and interest others pay you for the use of your savings. Money you pay them. Now that's money you'll never see again. Interest money, which the bank pays you. That you will see again as it grows. You don't have to work to get it. It grows for you. Now, that's the angle, girls. Don't spend it all on the easy time payment plan. There's nothing easy about it. Carrying charges. They can carry you right into the poorhouse. Interest on a revolving charge account. 1.5% on the unpaid balance. Now, that's all right if you don't get carried away. There are times when the paying of interest is necessary. When you need a car for a job and have to buy one on time. Or when you buy a house. Then the paying of interest to others is worthwhile. But
You're lecturing, Father.
I have to. If I drop it.
Tallulah's not really that bad, Dad.
Do you think there's hope?
Well, why don't we go back over what we learned?
Why?
So you won't drop the moon. Now, we've got to remember not to spend too much at one time. For credit is the present use of future income. And there's a company who keeps track of your credit. It's called the Retail Merchant Credit Association. So don't overspend. Danger. Then there's simple interest, which is interest on the unpaid balance. But at retail stores, interest is figured on a monthly basis. 2% per month is 24% a year. And at the end of a year, it can be very high. That total interest for the year is called true annual interest.
Remember, if you pay your bill at the end of the month, you pay no interest. What else?
There are interest, money paid to others, and money earned by you.
Yeah, I know. You're going to ask us to save our money and earn interest at the bank.
Oh, not just at the bank. There are other ways, but we'll talk about that later. In the meantime, do you think you can handle your charge accounts?
Roger.
Can you handle yours?
Bye.
The modern home today is virtually alive with household appliances that convert energy into function. Have you any idea how many motors are used in the average household? 5, 10, maybe 20? Well, the average house has more than 40 motors installed in it, largely in home appliances. When you multiply this figure by the millions of American households which depend upon those appliances, you are talking in terms of hundreds of millions of units. And when you consider the millions of new appliances which are produced each year, you begin to get an idea of the importance of the home appliance service technician to the American consumer. These men are representative of the people who install, maintain, and service home appliances. This is George, an experienced, well-trained appliance technician. And Tom, a trainee, a recent high school graduate receiving on-the-job training. After installing the new dryer, George hooks it up, then turns it on to try it out. George always explains the instruction manual to the housewife. He emphasizes the importance of the operating information in it and explains the warranty for the new appliance.
You can see, Tom, there's more to this job than nuts and bolts. On new appliances, I take a little extra time, give special instruction to the customer. Appliances are a lot like automobiles. They last longer, they work better, if you treat them right. How do you like this appliance service business?
I like it. I like working with my hands. Now I'm glad I took that appliance service course in the school shop. But then I see you guys in the shop, and there's a lot to learn. Like, you got to know something about chemistry. You've got to know electricity, electronics, refrigeration, mechanics. There's a lot to learn, but I can hack it.
Well, I've got news, Tom. You never seem to learn all there is to know. I'm going to night school a couple nights a week. Refrigeration course, just to make sure I'm staying up. Well, here's our next call.
Since refrigeration is the removal of heat by mechanical means, the first check to make on a faulty refrigerator would be on the voltage and wattage. Using instruments of the trade, George checks out the unit and advises the customer.
Mrs. Jenkins, I've just finished recalibrating the thermostat. Our test showed that an adjustment was needed. We've set it for the normal position, but you can adjust it warmer or colder as you find necessary.
That'll be fine, thank you.
One thing you have to have, Tom, is patience. When an appliance breaks down, it's a frustrating experience for the owner. Sometimes they become very impatient and even emotional. Well, it's our job as servicemen to do the very best job for each and every customer.
George is a successful service technician. He takes pride in his work. He knows his job, and he does it well. He has the technical skill and the knowledge, plus the ability to work with his hands to serve his customers well. The complaint here is that a surface unit on this range doesn't heat properly.
How's it going?
Well, we checked the surface unit, and that's okay. The problem is actually up here with the switch.
Well, how long will it take to fix it?
We have one in the truck. We'll have you back in business in no time, Mrs. Collins. Tom, I've got to get you back to the shop. You're scheduled to work on an air conditioner this afternoon.
Right.
The company that George and Tom work for has a well-equipped repair shop. In this shop area, there is a test bench where technicians can test appliances under actual working conditions. After each repair is made, The unit is checked to be sure it is operating properly. It didn't take long for Tom to find out how important it was for him to learn how to read circuitry and systems diagrams. So he signed up for a correspondence course in basic electricity that he could study at home. The technical school or institute is one of many other sources of technical appliance service training. Also, many utility companies, both gas and electric, conduct classes and summer maintenance of home appliances. In addition, many junior colleges now offer courses in appliance service as part of their programs. Many manufacturers and retailers hold classes for the training of their own staffs of appliance and field service technicians. Tom soon began to see the many opportunities open to him in the general field of appliance service. One way to go would be to set up a shop of his own and be his own boss, like his boss, Mr. Willis. Willis learned his trade the same way Tom is learning his, and now he has a nice shop of his own. Willis has a service franchise with a major appliance manufacturer, in addition to general customer service. He has a dispatcher to distribute the repair calls, his own parts department, as well as an accounting department. Yes, Don Willis has done all right. He has a nice home and family, a fine standing in his community, and a job he enjoys in a business he respects. There are other larger shops operated by corporations which employ large staffs of appliance technicians with fleets of trucks and computer record keeping. Many of them include extensive radio dispatching services and cover large territories. Many of the larger retail stores have their own service departments. Utility companies, too, have their own service facilities. Manufacturers and distributors of appliances also offer many advancement opportunities, including various management positions for the trained appliance service technician. For example, Mr. Allen here is a service representative of a major corporation. Most of the larger companies need traveling representatives, sales, service, and customer relations executives, as well as teachers to train trainees. While Tom has become aware of the variety of opportunities available to him in the appliance service field, he is also conscious of the fact that he must prove himself to be a first-rate, experienced service technician in his own right. But Tom's show of interest, desire to learn, and sense of responsibility have earned for him the opportunity to become a full-fledged service technician. Tom soon found out that there is no experience quite like taking charge, being your own boss, having to make your own decisions.
The dishwasher isn't getting the dishes dry.
Oh, really? Well, let's take a look at it.
Tom knew what to do all right. Check the electricity, the water temperature, and the proper water supply. He made a systematic check of the entire system and found the problem.
Well, Mrs. Miller, I've got your problem. The timer needs replacing. What's happening is that the drying cycle is too short.
Tom has found a career, a job that challenges his brain, that uses the skill of his hands, and gives him the satisfaction of keeping appliances in working order. It is the appliance technician's job to keep households running smoothly by properly diagnosing and servicing their appliances. Every day, the challenge is different. Every day, there is a different person to please. Tom has joined the growing ranks of appliance service technicians employed throughout America who make a good living while serving to keep America's homes humming. Already, he is looking ahead to the kitchen of tomorrow, preparing himself to keep pace with the progress of the fast-changing world of appliances, with such developments as the thermokinetic oven, the smooth-top range, the self-serving refrigerator, unique new dishwashers, and other new home products of the future. Tom has accepted the challenge. He has found his place and is moving forward in the rewarding field of appliance service.
What you gonna do when the time comes and you have to earn your way? What you gonna do when the time comes and you have to earn your pay? What will you do when you're finally on your own? What will you do when you're finally on your own? What will you do when you're finally on your own?
Sooner or later, each one of you will leave the textbook world of the classroom for the reality of living in the world of work. A world none of you made, but you can help make better. A world that expects you to be self-reliant, to pay your way. Time spent now planning for that world may be the best investment you will ever make. This film will tell you about one career area wide open to young men and women in the world of sales. Before it is over, you should be able to answer for yourself the question, is a sales career for you? Did you ever happen to think of what our world would be like without salespeople to bring us new goods and services? The one, for instance, who sold your parents on the idea of group health. The one who sold them furniture. The one who sold them your first pair of shoes. The one who sold them their first house. The station wagon. Their investments. The family vacation. Yes, you'll agree, people who sell have played an important part in your world to date. Without them, both our society and our economy would be completely different. If you'd like to bring new things and services to people, help them live better and happier, a career in sales may be for you. If you're enthusiastic about everything you do, whether it be your studies, sports, your home life. If you're neat in appearance, like to dress well, and are content to keep your casuals for days off. If you're comfortable with people, like to meet them, hear about them. If you make a good impression when meeting people. If you like to be knowledgeable and can talk with conviction. If you like to explain how things work and can impart the information readily. If you're tactful and diplomatic. If you have plenty of endurance as well as patience, no matter what the situation. This film may interest you, for you may be a potential salesperson. A job specialty with more and more openings, ranging from retail store clerk to store manager, from advertising to insurance, from lumber to real estate, from office equipment to office buildings. Careers that range through all business and industry, science and technology. Careers exciting and meaningful for young people like yourself in the world of sales. Paying salaries in keeping with your energy, initiative, and ability, with opportunities for advancement geared to your perseverance and personality. Careers with little need for specialized training beyond high school for many of the initial openings, though continued study and education will help you advance quickly in a chosen field. Okay, you say, selling interests you. But how do you know for sure your personal qualities are really the basic qualities to be a successful salesperson? You know you did enjoy selling candy in school to help pay for your school uniforms.
You also know you got a kick out of selling ice cream during the summer. But does liking those things mean sales is your bag, or that you'll be a success in selling? Always keep in mind, success means different things to different people. To some, it might mean having a fine family and home and living on a good salary. To others, it might mean becoming a member of an elite sales group like million-a-year insurance salesman or manager of sales of a large corporation in the higher income brackets. But whatever your goal in life, you will want to develop your personal qualities to the highest point possible. Not only your personality, but your ability, your know-how, so that you know the product you're selling, how it is made, what it can do, why it does it, and where it can serve best. In the world of business and industry, people in the sales field today are accorded a respect that is their just due. Through their efforts, whether retail or wholesale, software or hardware, services or designs, it is the sales representatives, the commercial travelers, all the people who sell, whose orders keep the factories running, keep employment up, keep the economy of the country on the upswing. Your high school education will serve you well in many of the sales occupations. You should have a good command of English, be articulate. You should be good with math. A knowledge of a language may prove a benefit in many unexpected situations, so do your best. Distributive education may also be helpful. Courses in science will be of advantage in selling such things as dry cleaning chemicals, wholesale soap products. A good physique and plenty of stamina are needed in many sales occupations. For most retail sales jobs, you may have to stand on your feet for long hours. In retail trade or wholesale, software or hardware, full-time or part, almost everything you learn in high school will help you sell. A college education, 2-year or 4-year, is needed in many sales positions. Selling securities and investments, for instance. Selling machinery requires a certain technical background, as does the sale of medical equipment, automation machinery, and similar engineering developments. Now let's take a quick look at a few of the jobs open to high school graduates. We'll start with retail sales. A simple stroll through any one of our modern shopping centers will reveal the variety of sales occupations available. Salespeople for rugs and carpets, furniture for bedroom or the whole house, shoes, wigs, candy and stationery, men's clothing, women's clothing, furs, drugs and potions and lots of notions, pets, poodles, monkeys, cats and rats, boutique gifts, radios and TV sets, recorders and stereos. For the technical minded, auto accessories. For the mathematically minded, accident and liability insurance. And for those with a green thumb, nursery products, flowers, shrubs, trees. Depending on what turns you on, when you finish high school, you might want to sell hotel and restaurant equipment, printing supplies, or typewriters and adding machines. The field of sales for high school graduates is almost without limit. Again, the choice is yours. Remember, whatever product is really your thing, it has to be sold, and you can do the selling. No matter how good you are at first, keep in mind that a salesperson must learn, must always keep up with new things. Whether you train in high school, on the job, or go on to higher education, or go to night school while working, continual personal improvement means advancement. If you want to sell securities, for example, you will need a college degree. Graduate engineers sell safety equipment, building and construction materials, heavy industrial machinery. But many a high school graduate has worked his way up through self-training to qualify for the more technical sales careers by first proving his ability as a salesperson. From tires and accessories to cars, from nursery sales to farm equipment, from household appliances to houses and office buildings, land and farms. from clerk to floor manager in a department store, from clerk to owner of a retail store, from office boy to insurance salesman to owner of an insurance agency. Enthusiasm for both your job and the products you sell usually pays off in increased sales, paychecks, and in promotions. Many in sales earn yearly incomes comparable to doctors and lawyers when commissions are added to salaries and incentive bonuses. Geographically, salespeople work everywhere. A good many of those traveling every day have a career in sales. Your territory may cover the United States or parts of it, or it may be overseas in a foreign land. A number of companies need sales representatives to sell American wares in faraway places. If you're a homebody and like to stay near home, look for a sales job that will keep you in your area. Depending on the product, of course, there are plenty of opportunities to sell merchandise in your own hometown. Sales careers permit a certain independence other careers do not. The commercial traveler, the house-to-house canvasser, the realtor, usually can select their own vacation times, work at their own convenience. With wise financial planning, other salespersons usually have generous vacation schedules, with many fringe benefits those more independent do not have. Most salespeople have a comfortable lifestyle. Go on and find out about the many other careers in the world of work. Some other career may suit you best of all. But if at last you believe that a sales career is the thing for you, get all the information you can. Discuss it with a distributive education counselor and teachers who know you. Talk to your guidance counselor about your interests. Your counselor can help you with a lot of detailed information. Check in at your local U.S. Employment Service office, too. Have a talk with the Youth Service Center counselor about sales careers. Bring your parents into the act, too. Listen to their ideas. Then, if your choice stands up, you're on your way. Now, what sort of education is best for a sales career? A general, well-rounded high school program is almost a must. If you're not going on to college, it is well to remember that for some of the higher-paying selling jobs, you will be competing against others with college educations. Enrolling in the distributive education course will provide unusual preparation for selling. Business schools, technical schools, junior and community colleges also have courses that can do much for you. The best college program to follow for a sales career is business administration. Even after you start working, evening school and correspondence courses can supply knowledge you feel you're missing. Opportunities in sales work will increase greatly during the next decade to meet the growing needs of the nation's rising population. And the introduction of new products will create an even greater demand for salespeople. If you have examined the alternative opportunities, and if you now decide that selling is indeed the career for you, get cracking on it. Plan, prepare, get the education and training you'll need. Then you'll be ready. With thousands and thousands of other young people, you'll be ready to carve out a rewarding and satisfying career in the challenging field of sales.
What you gonna do when the time comes and you have to earn your way? What you gonna do when the time comes and you have to earn your pay? What will you do when you're finally on your own?
What will you really do?
In thousands of shops and factories throughout the land, men in supervisory positions are being watched and coached in an effort to help them keep production at a high level. But not only are first-line supervisors being watched by the men over them, they are also being watched by the men under them. And here, not so much to find out if they know their stuff, for technical ability is largely taken for granted. Rather, they are being studied to make sure that they're the kind of people one likes to work for. In short, that they possess the qualities of leadership. What are the qualities that make a man a good leader? Let's put this question to a number of workers, see what they can tell us from their day-to-day experience.
I'm Jack Fenton. In the last 15 years, I've worked for a lot of different supervisors. Some of them were born leaders. But one or two were, well, you know what. For example, there was Tom Benedict. He seemed to get in wrong with everyone. But let me picture a stunt he pulled and what came of it. Bill Ainsworth was a pal of mine and a darn good machinist. I had mentioned him to Benedict, and Benedict said that if Bill ever came back and wanted a job, to have the employment department send him around to him.
Looks to me like you've worked all over the shop. How come you're out of a job?
Well, I could have stayed where I was, Mr. Benedict, but I had a streak of hard luck. My father got hurt, and my mother took sick, and, well, it was up to me to get a job near home.
Well, what were you doing last?
I was cutting helical gears.
Oh, I'm afraid you've come to the wrong place for that kind of a job.
But Fenton told me you have a gear department.
Sure, but we're retooling right now. We're practically shut down. All I've got is a kick press job. I don't think you'd like that.
Well, I wouldn't mind starting on a kick press if you give me a break in the gear department when you start again.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll speak to the super. And when the time comes, I'll arrange for the transfer myself.
Okay. How long is that going to take?
Oh, we ought to start production in about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
And so Bill started on a kick press and did a swell job. A month went by, and then a second month, and still no word from Benedict about that transfer. One day, Benedict sent Bill for a gear blank sample, and when he walked into the department, it was running full blast, not an idle machine.
Hello, Bill. What's on your mind?
How about that transfer you promised me?
Oh, yeah, I remember. But it ain't that easy, Bill.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, I kept my promise. I spoke to the super. We got to take care of the men we laid off before we get around to you. You know how it is, don't you?
Oh, nuts. Why didn't you tell me that in the first place? I passed up a darn good job, and just on the strength of a promise from you.
Sorry, Bill, but I'll make it up to you just as soon as I can.
Well, you can imagine what a hit that made with Bill. And it didn't do Benedict much good when Bill spread the story around in the department either.
So I pound away at that kick press for a couple of months. And then he hands me that stuff.
Why, that no-good double-crossing. I should have warned you about that guy. He's always making promises he can't keep.
Making promises he can't keep. To my way of thinking, a good supervisor is mighty careful never to make promises he can't keep.
I'm Joe Peters. Where I work, we've got a lot of soldering to do. And those irons, hundreds of them, have to be kept in first-class shape. Part of the job is to take off the tip and ream out the socket so as to remove the rust and corrosion. One day, Ed Orchid, at the next bench to mine, had an idea for an easier and quicker way to do that job. 2 or 3 days later, he went to the boss and put it up to him.
Oh, what you got there, Ed?
Oh, just a little idea of mine. Say, Mr. Vane, I've been thinking if we had a little motor, and maybe something like this fitted up with a buffer head on it, we could service these irons in half the time. And do a better job, too.
Well, you might. Still, I was suggesting something like that to the foreman only a week ago, and he wasn't so keen about it. Said it might rub a hole in the casing. However, I'll talk to him again and see what he says.
Okay.
That was the last Ed Orchid heard about the matter, until about a month later. Then he happened to be glancing through the latest issue of a little magazine we get out at the plant. And this item pops him square in the eye. Score another credit to John Vane, supervisor in the maintenance department, for a new and better way to service soldering irons. Instead of reaming out the sockets with a standard reamer, he proposes to use a covered with emery paper. The idea has been accepted, and the new equipment will be ready in about 2 weeks. But John Vane forgot one little thing, the importance of keeping the respect of the men he worked with.
Well, how do you like it?
Your suggestion, Mr. Vane?
Yeah, just worked it out on an idea.
Pretty slick, if you ask me.
Well, Ed, looks like we got a good idea after all.
We got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Some supervisors grab ideas and pass them off as their own. But one thing I've always noticed, a real leader never takes credit for someone else's good ideas.
I'm Jack Dalton. Used to work in the grinding department at the Kipano plant. Bill O'Donnell was our foreman. Why did I quit? I guess it was mostly on account of Bill Ashbauer. Bill was a quiet fellow, had a lot of responsibilities, and anxious to make good. As a matter of fact, you could always find him evenings at the trade school, brushing up on grinding operations. Had a hunch we were going in for a lot of grinding, and he wanted to be ready. Sure enough, the plant puts in an automatic grinder, and what does O'Donnell do? He brings in a pal of his, this guy Mahoney, and he puts him on the new machine. Well, that was the tip-off. And the boys didn't try to hide the way they felt about it. Things came to a head when 3 of us asked for a transfer. The super started to investigate.
What's wrong with the department?
Oh, you can't get anywhere working for a foreman that won't give you a chance. Take Bill Ashbaugh. He goes to school 5 nights a week. Learns all about grinding so he can run one of those new machines. Then you put one in, and the foreman goes outside for an operator. Hires a friend of his. I'm all through working for a guy that plays favorites.
Yeah, it's an awful letdown to find that a friend or a relative has been shoved in ahead of you, that your ability and work don't count. I'd say there's nothing more important than knowing that your supervisor will give you a square deal.
I'm Ed Bowe. Gripe is the fellow who always tries to wriggle out from under. Just listen to this.
This the planning department?
Yes?
Oh, is that you, Harris? Sam Grover, machine shop. We're all set to complete that A16 assembly job, but we're shy of 75 spindles. Can you rush them up right away?
Yeah, sure. I'll talk to Shorty in the stockroom, and I'll call you right back.
Stockroom.
Hey, Shorty, got any A16 spindles in stock?
Who's speaking?
Mr. Harris of the planning department.
Oh, Harris. Yeah, we got some.
I need 7.
They come 50 in a box, but they may be light.
Want me to check?
How long will it take?
Oh, about 15 minutes.
No, it won't be necessary.
Come up to Sam Grover right away.
Hello?
Sam, I just talked to Shorty in the stockroom, and he's sending you a couple of boxes of A16s right away.
Okay.
Well, the boxes went up to the machine shop all right, but they were both light. Only 63 spindles all told. And in about an hour came the fireworks.
Hey, Harris, I thought you told me you had 75 spindles.
No.
I didn't tell you that. I said we had a couple of boxes. What's the matter? Didn't Shorty send them up to you?
Sure, he sent up 2 boxes, all right, containing exactly 63 spindles. How about getting me that other 12, and quick, before I change the setup?
Doggone it, I told Shorty what I wanted.
Well, you told me I didn't have to check him. You've been putting through a lot of short orders lately.
Got any more of those spindles left?
Hell no. Not that size.
Uh-huh, so you threw me down, eh?
You knew how many I needed, and you knew those boxes were way light. You should have checked them. You certainly put the machine shop into a hell of a pickle.
Yeah, he should have checked them. But Mr. Harris told him not to. A real leader's not afraid to admit his mistakes. He doesn't pass the buck.
What are the qualities that make a man a good leader? What kind of supervisors do men like to work for? Here's what the workers say.
To my way of thinking, a good supervisor, a real leader, makes promises he can't keep.
One thing I've always noticed, a real leader never grabs someone else's ideas and passes them off as his own.
In my opinion, nothing is so important as knowing that your supervisor will give you a square deal.
In the world of industry, a great many men are needed to direct others. And because, as it often happens, they are not too familiar with the problems of supervision, they frequently ask themselves how they can guide their men to best advantage to get out production, how they can build up a feeling of trust and loyalty so that the men under them will be glad to follow their direction, how, in short, they can cultivate within themselves those qualities which make for leadership. What does a man need to have, outside of technical ability, in order to make good as a leader? Let's put this question to a number of experienced supervisors. Ask them to highlight some of the qualities which they regard as specially important.
A leader has to be able to take responsibility without letting it turn his head. Now, some fellas, when given a little authority, they seem to change. Some in one way, some in another. Jeff Grudy was a skilled machinist, and as steady a worker as you'd want to know. So far as anyone could tell, he was a regular guy. One day, Jeff was given the job as group leader, and all of a sudden, he stopped being just plain Jeff Grudy and became, well, something different.
Here's your fresh apron, Jeff.
Oh, I won't be getting an apron anymore.
How's that?
Why, didn't they tell you? I'm a group leader now. I'll be wanting a shop coat.
Shop coat?
Uh-huh.
You mean like the supers wear?
Yeah, but some of the others wear them, too. But where do I get one?
Jeff Barnes in the storeroom will give you one.
Okay.
Oh, Jeff, what's the big idea?
Why, you know, I'm a group leader now.
Oh, so that's it. Well, I'd say you look just dandy in it. Just like the super himself.
Well, that was only a little thing, but a straw in the wind. For instance, Jeff got the strange idea he had to do something to prove his authority. You know the trick.
Say, Jeff, looks like they've got this blueprint all balled up.
Yeah, hold it. Okay, Jim. What seems to be the matter?
Take a look at this.
Once more, it was just a little thing. And I guess the boys would have overlooked it. But there were other things, too. For instance...
You going along home? I'll give you a lift.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I'll probably be riding home with one of the foremen. You better not count on me from now on.
Okay, Jeff.
One day, a number of the boys were talking things over. And I couldn't help overhearing what they said.
Have you noticed how Jeff has been acting lately?
Yeah, and he used to be a right sort of a guy.
Used to be, but not anymore. Looks like he turned out to be a first-class heel.
Wonder what happened to him.
What did happen to him? Like a lot of men I've seen who were given responsibilities they didn't know how to handle yet, he got scared. Yes, scared. To protect himself, he threw up a fence. You've all seen it. Some fellas try to protect themselves by going high-hat like Jeff did. Others act like little Napoleons. But a real leader knows he's bound to make mistakes, and he isn't afraid. He takes his responsibilities in stride.
There's one quality that's always struck me as especially important in a leader, and that's a readiness to show appreciation for a job well done. When we first hit production on the old Model 73, we ran into an unexpected bottleneck. One of the key parts required a lot of different punch press operations. There were only a limited number of machines, and we just couldn't make our daily quota. Bill Ecke, the foreman, called in the head of the tool-making department, and he, in turn, put it up to Jim Kent, an expert tool-maker.
Got a little problem for you, Jim.
Yeah?
Bill Ecke needs a special die for that number 3 punch press. Only way you can make production is to cut out those extra setups.
That's a tough one. How soon does he need it?
Should have had it 2 weeks ago. So get on it fast, stick with it, give it everything you got.
Okay, John, I'll do my best.
And Jim was as good as his word. He was on that job night and day. When he did his sleeping, the Lord only knows.
How are you coming on that die, Jim?
Just about finished with it. Do you want to see it?
Nope. Send it over to Bill Ecke when you get it. He's been yelling his head off for it.
Okay, John.
Well, Jim Kent turned out one of the slickest fixtures you ever set eyes on, and it did the trick. Jim wasn't the kind to go asking questions, but he naturally wondered how they liked it. Then one day, some 3 weeks later...
Hey, Jim. Looks like you're in the doghouse.
Yeah?
You know that die you turned out for Bill Ecke?
What about it?
Oh, nothing much, only I heard the boss talking to the super.
What'd he say?
He said Jim Kent did a darn swell job.
Oh, he did he? Funny thing, he never said anything to me about it.
Oh, you know, John.
Yes, John Raynard thought it was smart never to let a man know where he stood. But that's not my idea of good leadership. To my mind, a real leader never hesitates to praise a man for a job well done.
There are days when everything seems to go dead wrong. The supervisor's only human, and at such times he may feel like blowing off the lid. But how far can he let himself go? One morning, Joe Bain, in charge of the finishing department, ran into plenty of trouble.
Look, Joe, we just had an emergency call. Got to finish an A16 shaft right away and get it on the 3 o'clock plane. Can you put it through?
Gosh, it's 10:30 now. That's a 3-hour operation, the best you can figure it.
All right, so we'll hold the truck till 2:15. That gives you 45 minutes leeway.
Okay, I'll do my darndest. Oh, Tom,
Yes, Joe?
got to make up an A16 shaft, emergency call. Not a minute to lose.
But, Joe, we're all set up for production on the A-17.
Tear down the setup and get Bill on the job right away.
Well, how we handle the A-17s? They're rushed, too.
Get going, Tom. I'll attend to that.
Okay.
Joe Bain speaking.
Sure. You'll get 'em just when we promised 'em tomorrow noon. What? You want 'em tonight? But that's impossible, Ed. The machine's tied up on an emergency A16. Now, how the hell can I do that? I'm not a magician. Oh, nuts to the sales department. Yeah, it's Joe Bain. Yeah, I was just talking to him. Now listen, Brady, I haven't got time to talk about that now. I told him it can't be done, and I'm telling you the same thing.
Well? Production sent over these material orders on the A-17s for you to okay.
Holy mackerel, are you ganging up on me, too? I said no A-17s today, and I mean it. Get back on the job, Tom, and be damn quick about it.
How far can a supervisor see it? He must be mad off if he expects the respect of the men under him.
In my mind, one of the best gauges to apply to a leader is a sense of loyalty, not only to management, but to the people who make up his group. Some time ago, an order came down to Bert Crowley's department at a time when Bert was somewhere else. The banding machine was broken, so the boys in the packing room nailed up the cases extra special and wheeled them out to the shipping platform. 2 minutes later, Bill Donovan, the fellow in charge of the loading, was telling them off.
What are you guys trying to do? Put something over on me? If you think I'm going to load any of those boxes without any bands on them, you're crazy. And what's more, if you don't get them off my loading platform in the next 10 minutes...
Just a minute, Bill. What's the matter?
Boy, these guys of yours are trying to slide through some cases without any bands on them.
If they left the bands off the cases, you can bet they've got a darn good reason for doing so. I don't know what it is, but I've told them if any trouble comes up and they can't find me, to use their best judgment. And if you got any complaints to make, you can make them to me.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by loyalty. When a supervisor has seen things through the eyes of his men and stands ready to take their part, he can mighty well count on their complete cooperation.
What a man need to have in order to make good a leader?
A real leader knows he's bound to make mistakes, and he isn't afraid. He takes his responsibilities in stride.
One quality that has always struck me as especially important is a readiness to show appreciation for a job well done.
As I see it, a supervisor must be master of himself if he expects to win and hold the respect of the men under him.
Most of all, a supervisor must have an honest regard for the men under him and stand ready to take their part. But in this, he must be sincere, not if he is to win their loyalty and their readiness.
I wish I was managing that fire team. What I'd get me would be a couple of good pitchers.
Hiya, man.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Frank. Yeah, and a good shortstop would help, too.
Nah, pitchers is what I'd get. But we don't want a one-man team.
Talking about one-man teams, did you guys hear about Larry Daniels? It seems that the old man called him into the front office and told him that...
He's not going to put him back on the bench, is he?
No, if that fellow's a supervisor, I'm the vice president of this outfit. Will you guys let me have my say? I just heard that the old man is going to put Larry back on his old machine. And he's going to give him another chance, and this is his last one. I'd have put him back on the bench long ago if I'd have been the old man for what he's been pulling off around here. He has sure been pulling off a lot of dirty tricks around here. He seems to be pulling them on everybody.
Oh, you guys don't know Larry like I do. He wasn't a bad guy.
Well, I'll bet he ain't so cocky right now.
Well, as we were saying, I don't know what your boss means by your attitude to your job. The way you've worked and slaved for that company all these years. What do they expect?
He said I'll have to change my attitude. I don't know what he means. I've got the best production record in my department, and I'm entitled to be the supervisor.
Well, yes, but you're just supervisor of one department. What do they want you to do, run the whole place?
I don't know what he thinks I should do. What's this?
Albert. Albert, what happened to you?
Fighting again, huh? How many times have I told you to keep out of fights?
Well, come on, we'll fix the scratches.
First, I want to know what happened. Why were you fighting?
I didn't start it. Well, you better tell your father, Albert.
Well, we were playing marbles. Sonny and Jimmy started arguing and saying I took too many marbles. So I threw the marbles at them. And then the fight started, but I didn't start it.
You've got to stick up for your rights.
As if your father didn't have enough to worry about without you fighting. Come on, we'll fix your face.
It's your attitude, I think. Your whole attitude to the job has changed. I can't understand what has come over you, Larry. You used to be one of the best workmen in the plant. But I don't know. You don't get along with the other supervisors, or even your own men. And I thought that you'd make a good supervisor. Your department used to be one of the best. It used to have the best production record. You ought to know, since you've been supervisor. But there seems to be a lot of grumbling and dissatisfaction. And look at this. There's been more absenteeism in your department in the past month than all other departments put together. But I don't see why you should be complaining about the other supervisors. What's wrong, Larry?
Oh, it's all their fault. They won't cooperate with me.
Larry certainly is different. I don't know what it is, but he's changed. His attitude has changed. Why, do you know what that guy did when I asked him last week to return some tools he had borrowed? Well, I'll tell you. You'll get a belly laugh out of this. Look, Larry, I don't mind lending you my tools, but why don't you return them? Every time I need them, I gotta run around looking for them.
Oh, keep your shirt on. You'll get your tools.
Well, I want them right now.
Okay.
All right, and see that I get them.
Here are your tools.
Wait till you hear how he acted with me. The other day, I saw Larry coming out of this locker room. Oh, Larry.
What is it?
Can't you get your men to clean up the shop when they're through? My men don't leave it in that shape.
Well, that's too bad. But when that whistle blows, I'm through.
You think that's bad? That new supervisor, Bert Bowder, asked Larry to help him with a problem last week. You know what he done? He turned him down, saying he was too busy.
You don't say.
Well, I have my own reasons for being sore at Larry.
Hi, Phil.
What do you want?
Well, now, what's the matter with you? What are you sore about?
You know what's the matter. Tell me what a wonderful guy that Maxon is and transferring him into my department.
Why, he's a good worker.
Sure, and a troublemaker, too, and you knew it. That's why you wanted to get rid of him. You didn't want to fire him yourself, so you had me take him.
Oh, go on. You can't take it.
There's another thing, too. I'll go to the old man. The next time you don't pass on the boss's orders, and I have to take their rap.
Oh, that's your lookout.
Did you go to the old man, Phil? No. I will go if Larry fails to pass orders on to my shift again.
I don't know what's come over Larry. He knows how to work a machine, but he doesn't know how to work with people.
And I'm entitled to be the supervisor. You've got to stick up for your rights. Oh, it's all their fault. They won't cooperate with me. But when that whistle blows, I'm through. Oh, that's your lookout.
I wonder if a guy...
Any place in particular you'd like to go for lunch, Charlie? Lunch is on me today, Dick. Let's go to the largest club in the world. Oh, you mean the Noontime Club? No, a larger club than that. Largest club in the world? I don't get it. But here's my car. Let's get in. Okay. Well, how was it? It was swell. But I still don't get this largest club in the world business. You will in a minute. Let's look at the screen.
Drivers are the screwiest people.
You're right, Lou, but don't forget the heedless pedestrians. They're kind of screwy, too.
Yeah. All brothers under the tin. I've got my hands full with the screwdrivers, and you got the screwy pedestrians or screwjays. That's what they are, screwjays. You got them, and you're stuck with them. Ah, here's the drivers. That's my department. Where are they coming from? Who are they? Everybody's there. Everybody's driving cars these days. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick, even you and me. Come on, let's get down to cases. Let's take any driver. In other words, Mr. Anybody. Is he a businessman? Here's a typical businessman. Are you the man we're looking for? No. Mr. Mechanic, could you be our man? No? Well, all right. I was only asking. Let's see. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the butcher. Hey, butcher, give me a pound of ground... Oh, skip it. Are you Mr. Anybody? No. Ah, Mr. Terwilliger, my old zoology teacher. Say, Mr. Terwilliger, could you be Mr. Anybody? No, Mr. Terwilliger, you ain't even close. The businessman, the mechanic, the butcher boy, Mr. Terwilliger, put them all together. No, they don't spell mother, they spell... Ah, everything is going round. What gives out? What goes on? What's the matter? Let's get together. Hey, who is this coming from all these drivers? Could you be any driver, anybody, by any chance, Mr. Anybody? Okay, Mr. Anybody. Thank goodness I found you. Well, now that I found you, just go on your merry way. Make like I'm not following you. But I'm going to watch you and see how you drive. Here we go, merrily on our way. Hey, look out, Mr. Anybody. Don't pull out like that without looking back or holding out your hand. Oh, it doesn't bother you. Such manners. A screwdriver, that's what you are, a screwdriver. Why don't you hold out your hand? Why didn't you look before you pulled out? See what happened. Look what you've done. If you only knew how you look to other people. Oh, you don't care. You didn't get hurt, so it's a screwdriver you are, Mr. Anybody. My, ain't you ashamed? Well, Mr. Anybody, so you're not always screwy. Sometimes you act almost like a gentleman. Where you going now? Oh, a phone call. Look out, who's this? An early shopper for next Christmas. Look out, little lambkins. Ah, such a polite Mr. Anybody, and such manners, but such differences from your driving manners. He picked up the package for the busy shopper. That's Mama's polite little gentleman, but don't forget the phone. Hello, Mama. Bring home what? A pound of 10 pounds Rudy Bear, Turner, heads of leather, Brussels sprout, apples for the teacher. Coming up, Mama, right away. Yeah, all right, Mama. Yeah, I bring them home. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Here we are on our merry way again. To market, to buy a fat pig. If you bring home a bargain, Mama will jig. Hey, Papa, there's the market. Don't forget Mama's Rudy Bear, turnips. Where you going to park? Not there, Papa. That's for going, not for stopping. Oh, Papa, my. Only a screwdriver double parks. No consideration for the other fella. Just look how you've jammed up traffic, and are those drivers mad at you? What's people looking at? You don't know, Papa? Well, you should. You're such a screwdriver. My... Mr. Anybody, it's just people like you that make people like me angry. It's people like you, Mr. Anybody, if you know what I mean. What's this? The Hardy family having a Jones dinner. I mean the Jones family having a Hardy dinner. It's Mr. Anybody, Papa in his own home. And look how nice he is to Mama's mama. Now for some home-cooked Rudy Beggars. There, I said it. Here comes the bread. Why, Junior, is that nice, rushing in like that? You might upset the stew on Mama's dress. Remember, always be a gentleman. Wait for your Papa. Papa, will you give the signal? Yeah, Papa will give the signal. Now, wait a minute. No. Wait for Papa. Mother? Mother's mother? Yeah? Now. Okay. Oh, but such driving manners. It's Papa out in traffic again. For heaven's sake, Papa, where are you going? Look out where you're going. Look out for your fender. Why don't you look where you're going? Why don't you go where you're looking? Why don't you slow down? My, Mr. Anybody, why don't you... Why? Such a weaving in and out. Such an in and outer. Half the time he's polite and half the time he's got terrible manners. Say, you look like Junior coming to dinner. What's the idea of rushing like that? Oh, I see. You got to get somebody there in a hurry. Well? Hey, wait for the signal. You're worse than Junior. Now, look, you got people going and coming. That's the trouble with you, Mr. Anybody. You're going when you should be stopping, and you're stopping when you should be going. A pretty kettle of fish. Why didn't you wait for the signal? Well, here you are again. Nice work, sport. You made it without a moment's delay. Hurry right over to the hospital for your brother's appendectomy operation. So you're not dashing to the hospital. So it's not an emergency. So it's only talk, small talk. Hey, you can't do that. Those guys back there are burning up. Dispositions and gasoline. Who is that guy that just got out of your car? Oh, I see. He's a screwy pedestrian, a screw jay. I might have known it. A screwdriver on foot. I bet you're really a nice fella, too. A careful, considerate man until you get loose on the street.
Just a minute, Lou. This is where I come in. Let me at this thoughtless pedestrian, this screw jay. You've handled the screwdriver. This fella's mine.
Okay, Don, take him away. And welcome. Take him far, far away.
All right, Lou, I'll take him. This fella represents the thoughtless man on the street. Here's Exhibit A. Did you ever see a dream walking? Well, here's one. A literary screw jay walking right into trouble. And he would really be in trouble if those people didn't have good brakes. Here's another type. He's the spirit of 76 screw jay, independence personified. Sure, he sees the motorists out of the corner of his eye, but who settled this country anyway? He knows his rights, and he's going to stick up for them, let the hips fall where they may. Why, he's practically daring those motorists to hit him. Hey, look out! Oh, an official screw jay. This type wants everybody else to go home till he gets through using the streets. All he needs is a tin badge. That is, till he gets hit. Well, at least he knows where he's going. Oh, wait a minute, he's changing his mind. Now he's an open field screw jay. Thinks he's playing football. Watch him crash that line. Oh, he's down. No, he's up. Boy, look how he's throwing traffic for a loss. There he goes, he's in the clear. No, they got him. No, he made it, and he almost makes us wish he hadn't. Cars, thousands of them, every day, everywhere. Traffic problems are really acute. With the increasing number of cars, the need for courtesy on our streets and highways is also becoming increasingly apparent. Screwdrivers and screw jays. Traffic tangles and snarls. All contributing to a higher cost of transportation, a greater strain on both our nerves and our pocketbooks. But no, it's not entirely hopeless. Progress is being made. Traffic engineers are at work developing new and more efficient roads and highways. Here are some typical scenes showing engineering progress. Bridge approaches. Over and under passes. Boulevard parkways. Here's an impressive scene of a modern cloverleaf, a fine engineering contribution to eliminate highway congestion. Legislative bodies are also at work, passing and enforcing new and better laws. Mayors, chiefs of police, civic bodies, all are tackling this great problem. One large oil company is vigorously attacking
Your name is James Bryce, and you're in a hurry. You didn't really have to stop for that sign. There wasn't a policeman in sight, and no cars coming the other way. But you did stop, almost mechanically, without thinking. Why? It began a long time ago, James Bryce, when you looked like this. Things happened to you then. A whole series of things that told you the same story. Little incidents like this one.
Jimmy, look who's come to play with you.
Hi.
Well, aren't you glad to see Henry? Get up and say hello.
Henry, go play with Jimmy while Mommy's gone.
They'll be okay, Helen.
Well, thanks a lot, Jean.
That's new, isn't it? Let me play with it. I want to keep it.
Boy, stop that. What's the matter with you?
He took my fire engine. He won't let me play with it.
That's very naughty, Jimmy. It's not your fire engine, it's Henry's.
I want it.
It's not yours. You can't have it unless Henry gives it to you.
Make him give it to me.
No, it belongs to Henry. You go play with your truck. That belongs to you.
I don't want it.
Well, don't play with anything then, but behave yourself. I'm ashamed of you.
I hate the tow truck. It's no good.
You're Jimmy Bryce, and you're angry. You wanted something, and somebody said no, just because it belonged to someone else. And so, now you're being scolded. Too bad. If only you weren't a human being. If you were a monkey, for example, this problem would never come up. If you wanted something, you'd take it, and may the best monkey win. No mother monkey around to say, naughty, or you know better, or I'm surprised at you. Or if you'd been born a social insect, like a bee, there'd be no problem either. The social behavior of a bee is largely fixed by heredity and instinct. No moral problems, no trouble, no rebels, no criminals, no nonconformists in a beehive. But back here in human society, there are problems. Social behavior has to be learned, usually the hard way. The moral rules that govern human society are transmitted to the young through speech and writing. Animal society, when it exists, is founded on instinct, physical differences, and imitation. These play a part in developing human society too, but words and other symbolic means of communication are more important. And parents are not the only teachers of moral norms. The group to which a human being belongs from his very earliest years is also responsible for some of his social education. You're Jimmy Bryce, and you're 5 years old now. Like it or not, you've become a part of a social group. Today, James Bryce doesn't even remember an incident like this one, and it was one of many. It was just one of those days, those bad days. Life in the kindergarten was pretty dull. Finger painting seemed like sissy stuff. How about a little action? You're feeling pretty strong this morning. Anybody want to fight? There, that ought to start something. Same old story. Grown-ups always spoil the fun. All the old words, too. Be a good boy. Ashamed of you. How would you like it if somebody did that to you? But Jimmy's still looking for trouble. And if at first you don't succeed, well... Words haven't worked very well on Jimmy, and so now the teacher tries enforcing moral norms, punishment by separating him from the group. Jimmy is pretending that he doesn't care, but he's looking to the group for their reaction. Most of all, he wants attention, but he's not getting it now. The other children have become suddenly indifferent, and Jimmy is disappointed. At recess time, Jimmy's formal punishment was ended, but then the children took over. They didn't like his bullying behavior, and they let him know it. They applied one form of social sanction against him, exclusion. Exclusion, or withdrawal, is an informal kind of punishment used especially by children and adolescents, but fear of it continues to exercise a restraint throughout adult life. Another kind of sanction is force, and Jimmy has gotten so far out of hand now that the teacher applies it. She tells him that the other children don't like him right now, but they will if only he'll behave a little better. But by the time Mrs. Bryce came to get Jimmy after school that afternoon, some of his cockiness had returned. As a result, he is about to have another sanction applied to him by his group, ridicule, which in this case takes the form of mimicking his strut. In some situations, ridicule is highly effective. Like withdrawal or exclusion, it is a sanction ordinarily applied by children and adolescents, but the threat of it continues to operate in adult behavior. The fear of both exclusion and ridicule, learned in childhood, remains a powerful motivation for adhering to moral norms in later life. Fortunately, the learning of moral norms is not always an unpleasant experience, as Jimmy learned at recess a few days later. Jimmy didn't know it at the time, but he was beginning to learn something essential to the whole basis of order in human society. A member of society must cooperate in order to participate, give in order to get. Jimmy didn't learn all the rules from this one experience. Many incidents of the same kind were needed for his social education. For example, not long afterward, there was that business about the tricycle.
Sure. I just want you to remember one thing, Jimmy. I don't want you ever to cross a street. Not any street. Understand?
It's dangerous because of the automobile, so you mind what Daddy says.
But a few days later, temptation confronted Jimmy. One afternoon, he and his friend Betty were racing each other on their tricycles. The forbidden territory across the street suddenly seemed very inviting. Over there, a whole world of excitement lay waiting. The call of adventure proved stronger than the rules laid down by Jimmy's father. But Jimmy's father came home from work early that afternoon, and the culprit was caught red-handed. Betty feels highly virtuous as she sees Mr. Bryce reprimanding Jimmy for a misdeed that her own conscience had not let her commit. And so, once again, force is applied to Jimmy, and he is brought home. Once again, he listens while his father explains the danger of crossing the street. The next day, Jimmy received his punishment. He was not allowed to use his tricycle and play with the other children. Jimmy is learning that if he breaks the rules, he gets punished. And punishment is an important factor in moral education in childhood. However, in adult life, the educational aspect of punishment is relatively unimportant. Its main purpose is not to reform the criminal. Its real value is to reaffirm the moral standard for everyone else. When Jimmy's punishment was over and he was allowed to ride his tricycle again, temptation presented itself once more. Again, the life of forbidden joy calls to him. And he would probably get away with it this time. Not a grown-up in sight. Why not? Why not? Because Jimmy has begun to grow a conscience, and it is beginning to take over in making decisions between right and wrong. It will continue to operate, often unconsciously, throughout his life. You're James Bryce now, not Jimmy, aged 5. And most of the time you stay within the moral norms of your society. Your conscience is no longer just a barrier. Now it's a part of your self-expression, relating itself to the various roles you play in your society. The roles of husband and father demand that you provide for your family. The role of businessman demands that you get to work on time. And the roles of friend and neighbor require you to be courteous, even when you're in a hurry. You're James Bryce, a social being at long last, because your parents, teachers, and group did a good job of socialization. Without this socialization, and without the sanctions used to achieve it, there would be no basis for moral order in human society.